Rationalize, compromise. I can't concentrate. That's got some echo on it. I can't concentrate when I chant, so I don't try anymore to concentrate. Bouncing back. Oh, it's real echo. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Krishna. Ram, Ram, Ram. I know. I'm just having fun. I spent a lot of time in the recording studio, so I know what echoes are supposed to sound like. But when you say Krishna, 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 that's nice. I can't really concentrate when I chant. I don't really try. All these rationalizations. You know that one? How about this one? I'm too fallen. If you want a really good excuse, and all of the excuses don't work, you can try that one. I'm just too fallen. What can I say? Because I'm so fallen, I don't have to try it, because it won't matter anyway if I try. Although Maya is putting those excuses in our mind. Because if Maya can convince us that we cannot chant good rounds, then that means we'll have to take another birth. Because if we don't come to Shuddhanam, then we haven't achieved the perfection that we're meant to achieve, and then we'll take another birth. And in that next birth, we'll be confronted with the same challenge. A lot of times, devotees have the idea that if I don't make it in this life, I will make it in my next life. It will be easier. Well, the bad news is it doesn't get easier. We have many devotees here who are obviously not their first time around. They were born in devotee families. And you can talk to them and ask them if it's easy. See what they say. And they will tell you, it's not easy. Some of them might even tell you, since I'm born in a devotee family, I'm not that serious, because I think I'm some demigod and you don't have to try, and I've known Krishna from birth. And, So there are challenges. So it's not going to be easier in another birth. We have to come to the stage of chanting purely, this birth or the next birth. So any excuses we make prolong that process. And Maya will try to convince you that you can't chant well. I've tried, I can't do it, doesn't work. Taste doesn't remain. I'm so conditioned, I'm so fallen. Then you give up the effort. And effort is the most important. Effort is the most important aspect of improving our chanting. We said on Monday, effort distinguishes nam aparad from nam abhas. So without effort, then we fall back into nam aparad. Yes. And we all have that experience, right? Maya has tried to steal our japa. Sometimes she even steals your japa beads, right? Where did I leave my beads? Have you ever lost your beads? Couldn't find them? That usually happens on a day when you chant bad rounds, doesn't it? You ever notice that? It's kind of like it goes together. I don't want to chant and I lose my beads. Yes? No? Anyway, next time you lose your beads, then, try to see if that's true. And it often happens on a bad japa day. Yeah. Well, once Prabhupada said your beads are your ticket back to Godhead. Once he said, he wrote in a letter, your beads are your connection to Krishna. If you have a ticket back to Godhead, I don't think you want to lose it. So, beads are pretty important. Alright, what else did we learn yesterday? Yes.
The word aparada, what it means.
Heavy, yeah. What does it mean?
Going away from Radharani.
Going away from Radharani. Apa means distance, without, against Radha. Wow. What a word. You know what upasana means? It means the opposite. Upasana is the Sanskrit word for worship. Did you know that? Upasana. And upasana is comprised of two words, asana and upa. And upa is the opposite of apa. So apa means distant and upa means close. So upasana etymologically means to sit close. And that's the word for worship, to sit close to the person you're worshipping, Guru or Krishna, upasana. It's the opposite of aparadha. So upasana means worship, aparadha means distance from worship. It means you're doing something that is keeping you away from worship. It's distancing you from worship. It's distancing you from Radha, the internal potency. And upasana is bringing you close to the object of worship. Upanishad. Upa, close. Isn't that interesting? Does anyone have a pen I can borrow? Or a long stick? A long stick would be better. A cane? Even better. A totem pole? Oh, this is perfect. This is perfect. Okay. So, this is Shuddhanam on top. This is Namaparad. And then in between is Namabhas. So, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur described it. Should we do it this way? Is that better? This way is better. Because one's higher and lower. So, this is Shuddhanam. So imagine Shuddhanam is a fire. And it's very cold out. So the further you are from the fire, the less heat you get, right? So the more there's offenses, the further away you get. Because aparad keeps you away, right? So as the offenses decrease, you're making an effort, you move closer. So you're getting more of the heat. So Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says, the greatest distance from Krishna is Namaparad. So there's the least effect from chanting because it's the greatest distance. And as you improve your chanting, you get closer, and so there's more effect. And Shuddhanam, you're in the fire. Now, Shama Sundari asked a question yesterday, and I told her we should discuss it with all of you. She said, I heard it said that the name can never be contaminated. The name is always pure. So if the name is always pure, then how could we not all be equally affected by the name? But I believe in Prabhupada's books. Prabhupada says that is true, but the name gets covered by the impurity of the chanting. So this name up here is pure, but this Namaparad chanted is different. So it's covered by all these offenses in between. So the power of the name is covered. It's a distance, so that we don't feel the effect. But the name is always pure. It's just covered by impure chanting. So yeah, the name can't be contaminated. But it doesn't mean when it comes through our consciousness or mouth or ears, it's pure. It's purely perceived. Clouds cover the sun, that example. So that's how Prabhupada explains it. It can never be contaminated. But through offenses, the power of it is covered. You're getting depressed or what? Yes?
It can be that the name is, let's say, covered with something, but who listens it purely and he gets real name. But if someone is purely listening,
Purely chanting, yeah.
Chanting is not pure, but listening is pure. So
You mean you're hearing the chanting of a pure devotee or hearing your own chanting?
no, I mean, let's say kirtan leading someone who's not pure chanting,
Oh, okay.
but sits someone who's pure, consciously pure in name. So he,
Purely listening to the
Yeah.
to someone who's chanting. Yeah. Or the opposite. Impurely listening to someone who's purely chanting. That might even be better. Yeah. Well, if you're a pure devotee, then when you hear the holy name, you'll hear the pure name. Unless it's chanted with offense, then you'll hear that offense. But what Prabhupada was concerned with was the devotee's sincerity, not their level of purity. So if the devotees chanted sincerely, then he appreciated it. And when Prabhupada was in his last days, he said, I relish all of your association. I'm very happy to be in your association. Because Prabhupada's disciples were sincere. So that's very important. Maybe my chanting is impure, but it's sincere. And my hearing is sincere. And that's the best I can do. And so, it's not that you'll get the complete pure effect of the name, but you'll get more of the effect than if you don't listen purely or chant purely as you can. And that, so this time, there's this time when you start chanting and you're down here, and then the time it takes to get here will vary, depending on your sincerity, your intention, your effort. And so Prabhupada said, if you chant with offense, it's just going to take you a lot longer to get here. Because when you're chanting with offense, you're really not moving. You're just staying at the bottom. If you chant Namabhas, you start to move. And as Namabhas is clearing of offenses, so as you clear offenses, clear, you move up, and Shuddhanam, there's no offense. And Namaparad, there's offense. Clearing, it's called, Namabhas is also called clearing, because you're removing the offenses. You're trying. And the more offenses you remove, the faster you move up. And the more offenses there are, the slower you move up. That's what Prabhupada said. Does that make sense? Yeah. So it's just, we're going to get there, but offenses slow it down. Yes?
Can we say that sincerity and the effort is like the same?
Sincerity and
efforts. Sincerity means that we
best effort. You put your best efforts. That's sincerity. Yeah. Your best effort with the right intention. That would be sincerity. Intention has to be right. Because maybe you make effort, but you're trying to show off or something. So it has to be the right mood. Your best efforts with the mood to please Krishna. That's Namabhas stage. That we clear out those offenses. And when you start clearing them out, then you're getting closer to the fire and you're experiencing more of the holy name. And the symptom of that is you're tasting something. And you like chanting and you're becoming more detached. You're struggling less in your spiritual life. More inspired. The holy name will do all that. But if we're down very far from that fire, we're going to be struggling more. It's going to be more difficult. And when you're up here, then you will be always blissful, always inspired, always tasting Krishna consciousness, and basically have no taste for anything else. There's a story of Vishwanath Chakrabarti Thakur. He was a grihastha, and he wasn't very attached to his wife, and she was being neglected. So he didn't stay in the same room with her. So his Guru Maharaj said, you should sleep at night in the same room. You should be in the bed with your wife. So he said, okay, I'll do that. And you know what he did all night? He got in the bed and Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. He stayed awake all night. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. So when you're on that level, there's no attraction. Raghunath Das Goswami, his wife was especially beautiful as he said, as an apsara. And his father was extremely wealthy. He had absolutely no attraction to that, because he had attraction to the holy name. So that's a symptom that you're coming closer to pure chanting, that things of this world are just, they don't really allure you. You don't have much energy for them, much interest. And a symptom of chanting with offense is you're pretty much interested still in material things. They still allure you. They divert you, you're still trying to squeeze something out of it. I mean, we're all trying to squeeze something, but you try to squeeze enough so you can be peaceful in Krishna consciousness, but if you're trying to squeeze more than you need, that may be a symptom of Namaparad. You know, like let's say your doctor gives you medicine, and you take the medicine and you come back and he says, how do you feel? You say, I feel the same. And the doctor knows that that medicine will cure the disease, so then he's starting to think, did you take it according to the direction I said after meals you can't take milk products? And then he says, no, I didn't. I was taking it in between meals and I was taking milk. And the doctor said, oh, no. Now I know why it didn't work. So it's the same thing, that the holy name will work, but if there's strong material attachment, that it means some offense is being made, so the power is not, we're not experiencing the power of it. And we've all experienced both, I think, right? Good japa, bad japa, good kirtan, bad kirtan. We've experienced both. Same holy name, different effect, because of our effort to avoid the offenses. So I was saying the other day, I don't know if you remember, but when you make an effort to avoid the offenses, you may not always be successful. But if you try, that is namabhas. Whether you succeed or not, namabhas, you've tried. And Prabhupada was asked this question by a devotee, and the devotee said, sometimes when I chant, I can't control my mind, it just wanders. And Prabhupada asked, are you trying to control it? And the devotee said, yes. And then Prabhupada said, then it's not offensive, because you're trying. I mean, if you were trying and it was still offensive, then you kind of feel hopeless. What's the point? So Krishna sees the effort. And as we try to avoid the offenses, then the holy name reveals itself. We become more purified. And then we get more realization that Krishna's in his name. And then we get more taste. Then we get more realization, then we get more taste. So it just keeps working for us, or else it works against us. We commit offense, we don't get taste, we lose faith, we lose energy, it becomes hard, hackneyed, we just do it because we have to. That's really unfortunate. When the holy name is so full of sweetness and power, it's so unfortunate to be chanting in a way that we're not experiencing it because we're not making the effort. You agree? Like there's something really deep there. And it's nice to think like that when you're chanting. That I know in this name there's something more and I'm not getting it. And I'm just praying, Krishna, can you let me get a little taste of this? Because if I get that taste, it will just draw me towards you more and more. It will purify me more and more. Yes? Yeah. So that's the prayer of every devotee. I want some taste. Not to enjoy the taste, but the taste that will make me more devoted to your service by pulling me out of my material attractions, which are diversions. Yes? Although I've taken this human birth, I've foolishly, uselessly drank poison. Narottam Das Thakur. Well, that's our position. Not foolishly, foolishly, yes, and knowingly. That's even worse. One is you don't know, but I know I'm drinking poison. That's Prabhupada's favorite song. Did you know that? Hari Hari Bipale, Janama Goina, Manusha Janama Pai, Radha Krishna. I've taken this human birth, Radha Krishna, Paite Nai, I don't want to serve Radha Krishna. Willingly drinking poison. Prabhupada told George Harrison, you want to sing songs? Sing that one. And put it in English. Actually, I put that song in English. Go to mahatmasmusic.com and then go to unreleased, something like unreleased recordings, and it's there. Although taking human birth finally, I drank poison uselessly. Yeah. I put it to use. Well, George Harrison didn't do it, someone had to do it. So I did it. Now lately, I've been thinking about something which I think is a very powerful meditation. I was doing a lot of workshops, and what happens in the workshops, and in preaching in general, is you offer devotee principles to follow, or shastric reference for behavior. And then, inevitably, there's a dichotomy between what the Shastra says we should do and what we're able to do. Right? You ever have that experience? You know what to do, but you're not there yet. And, or you know what to do and you just don't do it, or you can't do it, or you try, or you knowingly, willfully just don't do it and do something else. So I've been developing a kind of a workshop or a presentation on happiness, and I think of different things that cause distress, and one of the things that makes it impossible to be happy on the deepest level is to not do what you know you should do. It causes a lot of internal friction, doesn't it? A lot of distress when you don't do what you know you should do, right? And you're trying to enjoy it, and while you're enjoying it, you know you shouldn't be doing it, and you can't even enjoy it. Have you ever done that? That's the mode of ignorance. You suffer while you're enjoying. You know, passion is you enjoy, then you suffer. Mode of ignorance, suffering and enjoyment, they happen at the same time. Isn't that interesting? So, I think it's a very important point for us to meditate on, because as devotees, we learn so much of what we should do, what the pure devotees do, what the standards are, what's expected of us. And if we're not trying our best to follow it, it creates a lot of unhappiness. And that's why sometimes devotees say, you know, before I was a devotee, I was pretty happy. Now I became a devotee, I'm taking, you know, medications. You know, I'm kind of depressed. So I think it's important to recognize the cause of that. We have, you know, a lot more I shoulds than we had before. And the I shoulds have big ramifications, like going back to Godhead or not. So the distress and the misery caused by not doing it's pretty high, especially if you vow to do it. You know, if you're not a devotee, you can just get drunk and forget it, you know, or rationalize it away. But as a devotee, it's harder. So when we have the holy name and we know it's Krishna, and we know how powerful it is, and we chant shnik shnik nam nam, how do we feel? We know what's going on. We know we're offending the holy name while we're doing it. And it's quite miserable, isn't it? You ever done that? You know, you're trying to schnick your rounds, you know, it's late at night, and looking at your phone and schnicking, and your emails and schnicking. It's probably one of the most miserable experiences, isn't it? That here's God coming in His name and you're schnicking away while you're doing something. And we are fully aware that we're doing it. And it causes a lot of distress. I'm so unfortunate I have no attraction. So I think it's very helpful for us to realize that the more we are aligned with doing what we know we should do, the happier and more satisfied we'll be. And especially when you apply that to chanting Hare Krishna. The holy name reciprocates. Be firmly convinced that if you're not aligned, at least making the effort to be aligned with what you know is right, it's impossible to be happy. And it doesn't matter how many gulab jamans you eat. You're still not going to be happy if you're not aligned with what you know is right. You know, is that what devotees do when they get depressed? Just drown themselves in a jar of gulab jamans? Forget their suffering. But in a sense, the suffering for a devotee who's not following is greater, because the stakes are higher, isn't it? You have so much You're so close to Krishna. Yes.
It seems like if you don't suffer and you remain satisfied with material, like materials can be by their karma, the impetus to progress will be lost. So
Yeah.
Krishna actually intensifies so that we don't have
Yeah.
way out.
Yeah. Well, yeah, or yeah. We have to make an effort to run away from Krishna. But sometimes that's how devotees deal with it. You know, the pain is so great by trying to be Krishna conscious and not being aligned that they just try to forget Krishna consciousness. To forget the guilt and that's unfortunate. But if you make the effort, you'll be happy. That's the thing. If you make the effort, you'll be happy because Krishna will reciprocate with the effort. Not with your level of Krishna consciousness, but it will reciprocate with your effort on any level. And then if every day you're chanting nicely and you're seriously and sincerely engaged, you won't have that feeling, that dichotomy of knowing what I should do and not doing. You remove the gap, and that removes the pain. So if you make your best effort, you don't feel that pain of being out of alignment. It's when you don't, you feel that pain. And that pain is like, it's really depressing, isn't it? Yeah, it is. So, I think it's good to remember that, because I always feel that I will be frustrated unless I do this. And till the day that I do it, I'll be frustrated. And if I don't do it today, I'll be frustrated until I do it next week or next year or next decade. But I'll be frustrated on some level until I do it. And if you're married and you do something wrong, you suffer. Isn't it? You say the wrong thing, you respond in the wrong way. And every time you respond in the wrong way, you suffer because your wife's unhappy or your husband's unhappy. And you realize after a while that I have to respond in a particular way, even I may not feel like it. Because every other way causes suffering. So we're supposed to learn that in all aspects of life. There's a certain way to act and respond that will not cause suffering. Yes?
It seems that even you in this situation, you don't know how to act unless you have proper association.
That may be, yeah.
Somebody reminds you.
Well, also, you know, traditionally, at least technically speaking, when you take Harinam Diksha, that Harinam Guru is the one who's teaching about the name, teaching you how to chant without offense and so on. So technically we should have that. But I think at least our history of ISKCON hasn't been so good in enlightening devotees about how to improve their chanting. And so a lot of devotees are more on the mechanical side of it, and that's unfortunate. So it's very important to discuss and be clear and have proper sambandha, and then you can have avideya. You have to have the right knowledge of how to chant properly. So as long as we understand that if we chant 16 rounds, it doesn't mean anything happened unless we make the effort to avoid offenses, then we've got the right knowledge. And a lot of devotees don't understand that. As strange as that sounds, a lot of devotees don't understand it. At least in my experience. Or don't understand it deeply. What else did we learn?
Whatever the sins or offenses we did outside or wherever, those all will be naturally destroyed when we take the shape of the holy name. But if we are making offense to the holy name itself, it is broken.
The offenses and sins we make, even seva. I just read this morning, an interesting statement, and I think this is in the Madhurya Kadambini. If you make seva aparad means an offense in your service or an offense in the deities. He said naturally that offense is overcome because you're continually serving and praying, so it naturally absolves itself because you're a devotee. So you may have made an offense, you may have made an offense in service, but you continue serving. You're trying to serve sincerely, and so your service will absolve you of the offense. And if you make a sin, sin is is more of a, the way Bhaktivinoda Thakur explains it, and also Vishwanath Chakrabarti, sin is not contaminating the soul. It's contaminating the body or the consciousness, but not the soul. So a sin actually does not block your spiritual life. It's not aparadha. A sin doesn't separate you, because all you have to do is say, Hare Krishna, and everything's fine. The sins are gone, and you can, any sinful person can take up devotional service, right? Any person on the street, you can engage in devotional service, taking a book, taking prasadam, saying Hare Krishna, and if they want to come to the temple, they can join kirtan. So sin is not an obstacle, because the process removes the obstacle that sin could cause. But aparad, that affects your spiritual life. Now, some more bad news today. Every day I give you bad news. Vishwanath Chakrabarti Thakur says there are different causes of anarthas. Sin causes anartha. And piety causes anartha. Sin causes anartha, and then you become degraded and angry and envious. And piety just causes you to become materially attached. So you're pious, but you're doing piety to become more materially advanced. So you become more materially attached. So it creates that kind of anartha. But aparad, chanting with aparad, although it is chanting is supposed to purify us, it can create anarthas. The very chanting can create anarthas, which is pretty scary, isn't it? Nam aparad can create anarthas in bhakti. So aparad is directly affecting our advancement. Where sin is not directly affecting, it's not directly stopping us, it's easily cleared. Aparad, specifically nam-aparad, is not easily cleared. Seva-aparad is easily cleared. Sin is easily cleared, not nam-aparad. So the whole idea of discussing this is to make us a little, we should be somewhat cautious about nam-aparad. We shouldn't just chant anywhere and anyhow and just to get it done. But we should be chanting as a worship of Krishna. Yes?
One of the offenses is to sing on the strength of the holy name.
Yes.
So what is the difference between sing and sing on the strength of the holy name?
What's the difference? The difference between sinning and sitting on the strength of the holy name. The difference is that it's the same thing. If I sin, I can easily become purified of this sin. But if I commit sin on the strength of chanting, then it's nam-aparad. So then that's destructive spiritually. Whereas the sin is not that destructive spiritually.
So unconscious sin is neglected, and if you're conscious that you commit sin and then you chant, it goes away, it's not going away until it becomes aparad.
It's worse, yeah. If you commit a sin, it's better you don't chant with the idea of becoming free from the sin. Just say, Krishna, I committed a sin, let me suffer for that. Because if you chant with the mood of overcoming the sin, then that is worse. Then that is a worse act than whatever sin you committed. So whatever sin you could possibly commit, murdering a Brahmin or whatever, the act of trying to become free from that sin by chanting is worse than the sin. Any sin you could make, that's worse. That's what the Shastra says. So it's better just to accept the reaction of the sin than try to counteract it.
But if you're doing these mentalities, then your chanting will purify you. If you don't sing or be purified, it will be purified.
Yeah. If you're not, because any chanting to create any kind of material benefit is nam-aparad. That's one definition of nam-aparad. I'm chanting for whatever reason to achieve anything other than advancement in spiritual life. That's nam-aparad. So if I'm trying to achieve anything material through the holy name, it may give it, but it's an offense, so I don't make any spiritual advancement.
any prayashita, if you sing and you sing like I go around the tulasi, or any prayashita you do, it gives the opposite effect.
Yeah.
If you sing with the knowledge that by spiritual activity you will come to the fight, like
Yeah. This is one of the most interesting things for me. The concept that atoning for sin repeatedly is more sinful than whatever sin you've ever committed. What's so interesting about that is that Christianity is based on that. Christianity, the foundation of Christianity is the seventh offense, which sometimes Prabhupada says is the greatest offense to the holy name. Actually, I wanted to write a book about what's wrong with Christianity, but I'd probably be shot if I did. Because I pretty much really got to the essence of it. I really figured out what's wrong with it. And that's one of the main things that's wrong with it. That what is considered in Vaishnavism to be one of the greatest offenses to the Lord is the basis upon which Christianity is built as their basic theology. That is so interesting, isn't it? And also, inherent within their theology is blasphemy of pure devotees of any other tradition, and gods of any other tradition. So it's like, they've deeply embedded some of the offenses to the holy name within their theology. Isn't that interesting? Scary also, and unfortunate. Yes?
Amrita Radhika has a question.
Okay.
You say when we chant good Japa, we get realization. Does this include answer to specific things to either help ourselves or other in Krishna consciousness, or just the realization that Krishna is his name?
Both, yeah, because Krishna, yes. Guidance comes from Krishna. So naturally, the closer you are to Krishna, the more guidance is there. Sometimes it comes intuitively when you're chanting. It's not articulated in your mind. So you will have that experience. You just know. Like what psychologists say is, if you have a question in your mind, something you're confused about, you need an answer, they say don't think about it. Just like go for a walk or go take a shower, just relax, the answer will come. So a lot of times that happens when we're chanting. Just there's something we need clarity on and we're chanting, we're not thinking about it. And just Krishna clarifies it. Should I stay in Mayapur or should I go back to Lithuania? Well, that's an easy question to answer, but in case you're wondering what you should do, you're chanting, and sometimes it may become clear. My seva is here, my seva is there. It's not, it's like Krishna reveals. But Prabhu, how do I know it's not my mind? Yeah. Perennial question. Ask someone who doesn't have your mind if it's your mind or Krishna. Sometimes you just know it's not your mind. So it's very strong. I think you'll be less confused the better you chant, because the more pure you are, the more Krishna can transmit what he wants to transmit. I was telling that joke the other day that, oh God, speak to me. You're praying, God, speak to me. And God says, you're not qualified. No, just try me. God says, okay, this is what I need. I need this, I need that, do this, do that. Okay, don't speak to me. That's enough. So that's the idea, that sometimes Krishna can't speak to us because we're not ready to hear him. So as you become more purified, then naturally you hear more because you're more ready to hear, because you're not afraid to hear. Right? You want Krishna just to tell you like it is? You ready for that? You want Krishna to tell you, what's really wrong with you? You ready for that? You want Krishna to tell you what you should be doing, what you shouldn't be doing? You ready for that? You want Krishna to point out every anartha, every aspect of false ego that's motivating your actions? The more you're ready for that, the more he'll tell you. And the less you're ready for that, the less he'll tell you. Yes.
Actually, he does all the time. We just don't like these people. We think they are fault finders.
He's saying Krishna does tell us through our wives and husbands and friends and enemies and so forth. You know, it's quite funny because everyone, says, I want a guru, I have a guru, I need a guru. But when it comes down to it, most people don't want a guru because the guru's like, he's going to say, don't do this. You want someone telling you, don't do this? You're just about to eat that whatever. And the guru says, don't eat that. That was not cooked by the guru. You want someone telling you that? You want somebody criticizing you? It's a bigger thing to accept a guru than we might imagine. Yes?
Yeah. In the morning you said you're reading about the seva aparad. So if anybody has done the offense in the seva, by sincerely doing the seva, it will be absolved.
Yes.
So if it happens with the nama also, nama person.
So he's asking, just as if you continue doing seva, then you'll be freed from the offense of a seva aparad. If you continue chanting, will you be freed from the offense of namaparad? That is the general direction. But Bhaktivinoda Thakur has substantiated that a little more clearly. And I think it's kind of obvious that the idea is, if I commit offense and I keep chanting, then there's the mood of I should chant to rectify the offense, which would mean I'm not going to continue making the offense. And I'm in the mood of rectification, so Bhaktivinoda Thakur said, rectification means remorse. So chant with remorse for having committed namaparad, and continually chant. And by continually chanting with remorse, you'll be free from the offense. Just like another example, 9th chapter Bhagavad Gita, text 30. What does it say? It says if one commits an abominable action, he should be considered a sadhu because he's determined to be a devotee. So, what's the criterion? Well, he accidentally committed a mistake, and he's regretful, and he wants to rectify it. And that's why you should consider him a sadhu, because he's in the mood of rectification. So if Krishna sees you're in the mood of rectification and remorseful, then you will become free from the offense. If you offend a Vaishnava, how do you become free from that offense? You go to that Vaishnava humbly and say, I'm a fool, I made a mistake, I did the wrong thing, I said the wrong thing. I beg at your feet, please forgive me, let me serve you. Let me do something, please forgive me. That's how you approach the Vaishnava. And then what if the Vaishnava doesn't forgive you? Then you say, he's not a Vaishnava. Because if he were, he would forgive you. Sometimes even Vaishnavas may be a little slow to forgive. So what does the Shastra say? You just keep serving, keep begging. You tell him, I'm so sorry, I did the wrong thing, I'm such a fool, etc., etc. That's the mood. So there's this mood of, I did the wrong thing, I'm remorseful, I want to make it up, I want to serve you. So it's the same with the holy name. I've committed so many aparads, please forgive me. I'm begging you accept me. And you just keep chanting. So that chanting is begging for release from that sin, or that aparad. And if it makes sense, because if you're in that mood, then it's going to prevent you from continually making offenses. So it's going to be like a net that catches you. One of the realizations that has helped me tremendously in my devotional service was just to understand what is the minimum level I need to be chanting every day to be making advancement. Like let's say we look into the future, 10, 15 years. And I ask you a question. The way you've been chanting for the last month, if it doesn't get any better than that, then in 10 years will you be better off or worse off? So you want to be chanting on a level where in 10 years you can say, oh, if I continue chanting like this, I'll be much better off. You don't want to say, oh, I don't know, I'm not sure. Or you don't want to say, I'm sure I'll be worse off. So if we can be conscious of what is good chanting, what is chanting that will, if you're looking at a trajectory that'll be going up a little bit rather than staying the same or going down, and embed within our own consciousness what that level is, and embed it so deeply that automatically we will cause ourselves to chant at least on that minimum slight upgrade, if not straight up, at least work to get there, then we're going to be doing really good. But if we're allowing ourselves to go down and we're not correcting, can we really, that's a problem. Right? So the idea of remorse would be correction. And I'm not going to ever let myself go down again. Because I understand how bad it is to commit offense to the Holy Name. So in my personal experience, if you can come to that level where you will not allow yourself to chant bad rounds, then you're going to see your spiritual life dramatically improve. Because every day you're going to chant at least decent rounds, maybe not excellent, but at least decent. So you're going to be going up. And over weeks and months, you'll see the difference. What to speak of years. Then you can look back or look forward to the future. So 10 years from now, things are going to be looking good. Otherwise, 10 years from now, I can speak from experience and experience of my God brothers. Some who say their chanting was better when they were new bhaktas than it is 40 years later. That can happen, which is kind of scary and depressing, but it can happen. There's some people my age who say, I'm healthier now, more fit than I was when I was 25. Believe it or not, because they took care of themselves. On the airport, there was a picture of a Sikh man, 103, and he ran a marathon. How many kilometers? 50 kilometers or something? Something outrageous. 103 years old. I live 4 blocks from here, and if I run 4 blocks, you'll have to carry me up the stairs. Seriously. I mean, I can walk fast, but running? So that's an unfortunate reality. Like a lot of by chanting over time, we would get better. But factually, that's not true of anything. It's not just by doing something over and over that you get better. It's by doing it right and practicing to improve. That's how you get better, isn't it? You agree? Like you may know how to cook, so keep cooking the same thing over and over. Do you get better? Not necessarily. If Korma comes and gives you lessons, will you get better? Yeah. If you follow what he says, right? I teach you some Mridanga beats. You play, you get the beats down. Are you going to be a virtuoso Mridanga just with 3 beats I taught you? No, you have to learn more. You have to practice. You have to learn from other teachers. So it's that way of the holy name. So don't assume that your rounds, your japa necessarily will get better. It's not automatic. It could get worse. So if you can take from this week just the vital importance of avoiding namaparad and embedding that within you, so that every day you have internally gauged what is good japa, and you can connect on a decent level of japa and do that the rest of your life, you will see the difference. We will see you next year and I'll say, Prabhu, how are you doing? And you'll say, I've got no problem. I haven't seen Maya for the last year. I don't know what happened to her. I don't know where she went. Yes?
Can you explain what our decent round?
What is what?
Decent round.
What is a decent round? Okay, yeah. Very good question. What is a decent round? Present, I'm aware, I'm with the holy name, I'm not somewhere else in my consciousness. I'm praying to Krishna for what is most important in my spiritual life, begging the holy name. I'm feeling close to Krishna, I'm relishing, I'm hankering for higher states of bhakti, I'm praying to overcome obstacles, anarthas. It's I would call it a high frequency exercise. It's not like You know what I mean by high frequency? When you're chanting, it's like there's intensity there. It's not like Hare Krishna. There's no intensity in that chanting. There's, it's intentional. You're very connected with the essence of the holy name. You ever been with someone and you understand one another? Just by being together, you like feel one another. Sometimes you don't have to talk. You just, like, that's good chanting. Like, the frequency of the holy name is all about surrender, and you're on that frequency. Have you ever chanted your rounds and been overcome with a feeling that I just want to surrender to Krishna? Hare Krishna, you're chanting, and you ever felt like that? That's the frequency of the holy name. That's what it does when you're connected with that frequency. You just feel like, I want to give more of myself, my life to Krishna, and it comes very freely, without fear. And we all know what fear is. What if I surrendered and Krishna will send me to Siberia to peel potatoes? Isn't it? I don't think I'm going to surrender, because if I surrender, my temple president, whoa, if I'm surrendered, he's going to work me like to the bone. I don't want to surrender. Surrender does not look pretty. Isn't it? If I surrender, my guru is going to ask me to give him all my money. He's going to ask me to move this temple, do this service. I'm not ready for that. So, what's your guru calling? Siberia peel potatoes. Outside in the winter. So, you know that feeling? Like, Krishna, you're cool, surrender's cool, but I'm not ready for it. Can we take it easy for a while? You know that feeling? Right. Not too much, too fast? And you've ever chanted your rounds when you're like, Krishna, bring it on. Just like, yeah, whatever you want, I'm ready to do. That's the frequency of the holy name. That's what it is. If the holy name could talk, that's what it would say. Wouldn't it? If the holy name is talking to you, when you really feel the holy name, what is it saying to you? Isn't it saying, just surrender, just let it go? Isn't it? You have that experience sometimes? Yes? Yeah. That's what it means to chant good rounds. That you're not resisting the holy name. And I think a lot of times we resist. In fact, my perception from teaching about chanting, and I've also confirmed this with devotees, is that sometimes we don't want to connect that deeply with the holy name because we're just afraid what might happen. If I surrender, what if? And fill in the blanks. And everybody has their what ifs. Everyone I've talked to has their what ifs. If I surrender, what if Krishna asked me to? What if Krishna takes my money? What if Krishna takes my husband? What if Krishna tells my guru to ask me? Everybody has their list. Right? You have your list? Your what if list? If I surrender, what if? Right? So, if you have a what-if list, how can you fully surrender to the holy name? Because in the back of your mind you'll be thinking that what-if list may come to the forefront, and Krishna might start asking me to do these things. So we have to overcome those fears of the what-ifs. That's good chanting. I have some good news for you. Your husband's not ready for sannyas. You don't have that much money in the bank that Krishna's worried about it. Krishna wants you to be happily engaged, and if peeling potatoes in Siberia is not going to inspire you, he probably won't ask you to do it. You know, we have all these fears, and fears, most of them are illusions. They're not true. They're imaginations that this would happen. Did you know that? Like all your what-ifs, I will tell you now, all your what-ifs, they're all fears of something that's not going to happen. So you don't have to worry. You can surrender to Krishna. Don't worry. It will all be good. And that empowers your japa, when you have that freedom. Okay, Krishna, whatever you want. Hare Krishna, then you're chanting. Like that, that's what the whole, that's the, if you're connected with that vibration, that's what you feel, isn't it? That's good japa, isn't it? You agree? Yeah. Maybe tomorrow we can do an experiment. Tomorrow when you chant your rounds, you wipe off your what if list and you say, Krishna, I'm ready for anything. Bring it on. There was one candidate years ago, president used to go, bring it on! And he did a speech, bring it on. Let all the opposition come, we'll defeat them. Okay, Krishna, I'm ready. I'll just, whatever you want, I'll just, I'm ready. Hare Krishna, just bring it on. Yeah, just do it for a day. If it doesn't work for you, you can, at the end of the japa, you can go, Krishna, I was just kidding. I really didn't mean it. If he starts bringing on something you don't want, I really didn't. But it will be a wonderful experience for you, because what Krishna will bring on, it will be amazing. I had an experience, I'll tell you my experience. So I was in Mayapur, it was like 4 years ago, and I was chanting my rounds and I was thinking, you know, for so many years I'm thinking, I want to do this service and not this service, and this and that, and this and that. I said, okay, Krishna, forget that, I'll do anything. So I'm chanting my rounds. Hare Krishna, anything, you know. And like after a half hour of that, when GBC man calls, he said, we're having a meeting and we decided we need you to go to Israel. They're having problems there. And I was like, okay. Israel, like they're having like really big problems. And we haven't been able to solve these problems for years. And he wants you to go and solve the problem. Right? And, you know, most of the money I get through doing workshops and traveling. You know, usually I don't just go somewhere because I don't have that much time unless I know, you know, tickets are paid, some donations are there because I have expenses. And I said, okay, forget it. I'm just going. I just went, you know. And it was amazing what happened. And I came back with money also, everything. You know. So it was an amazing experience. Krishna reciprocated within a half an hour. And I was so happy to go there. And it was just good for me, it was good for the devotees, financially it was good, everything was good. And I went back there subsequent years. And I'm happy to report, I wasn't the only one that went there to solve the problem, but I'm happy to report the problem was solved. More or less, it's, you know, it hasn't reoccurred. So, you want to try that tomorrow? See what happens? We may all be going to Israel in a week. Or where else may we be going? What?
New York City.
New York City. Very nice. Yeah. Sleeping on the floor. Brahmacharya ashram. Yeah. Anyway, you willing to try it tomorrow? Just wipe off your what if list and just go, Krishna, I'm here, you know, whatever. And see if your chanting is better. And if it is better, it will prove a point that maybe because we're afraid if we surrender, it'll be difficult, we're not vibrating with the holy name enough. Out of a fear that I don't want to let Krishna know I'm so surrendered because he might use me. Yes?
Basically, don't trust Krishna.
Yeah. Like, Hridaya Maharaj used to say, you know, you think Krishna's like your temple commander, you know, he doesn't know how to engage you. Like your fanatical temple commander, you know. He's not like that. He knows how to engage people. You know, like, why would Krishna want you to be unhappy and give you some engagement you don't like? Why would he want to take your money so you don't have anything to eat? You think he likes doing that? That's fun for him? Actually, Vishwanath Chakrabarti Thakur said that Krishna likes to give his devotees, he likes to serve his devotees, and he likes to give things to his devotees. That's his pleasure. He likes to. So if he takes it away, it's only because we need it. We're going to misuse it. But it's not that he has fun taking things away from the devotees. Every morning Krishna wakes up, and before he goes out for herding the cows, he makes a list of all the devotees he can take things away from, because it's so much fun to do that, because he's just a young boy, and young boys like to tease people. No, it's not like that. As I said, fears are illusions which we create in our mind about something that's going to happen. So we have all these illusions about surrender. And we don't have illusions about not surrendering. It should be the other way around. We should think not surrendering is going to create problems. And not that surrendering will create problems. Do you understand the point I'm making? That is the language of the holy name. So if when you're chanting you're feeling more and more you want to give your life to Krishna, that's good. You're asking Krishna, please make me worthy to serve you. Bring me closer to you. Empower me. This is what's in your heart while you're chanting. That's good job. And isn't it unfortunate if that's not in our heart, but what's in our heart is, Krishna, help me block out everything, because this chanting is so boring, just distract me with something, some thoughts, help me get through these rounds. That's not the mood. And that's unfortunate if we think that way. Yes? Is that okay? Yes.
It's unfortunate. It's so funny that devotees sometimes we're ready to surrender material, work 2-3 jobs, do anything to think that we are kind of real to the life, but just don't want to trust Krishna, which is much easier, and bring the better results.
Yeah, it's totally true. When we were distributing books, there's a lot of propaganda in the paper that we were a cult. So people would say, you're just working hard for this guru, bringing him money. And I'd be thinking in my mind, you're working harder for your wife and family. And if I wasn't, if I were married, I'd be working hard for my wife and family. So what's really the difference? You work for those you love. So we love the guru, we love Krishna, we work for him. But the result is different. You're going to work hard for somebody. Yes. Right? Wow, we haven't even started today's class yet. I actually don't like to start the next day's class until we're clear about the last day's class. And sometimes it's good to review. Anything else? You remember? Yes.
I just have a question.
Yes.
Did we mention yesterday that despite so many things that can be going on in our mind, and sometimes we get to think about a service that we have to do later on, how am I going to do it? But did you say also that is not good, like be thinking about a service during chanting?
I did say that. You know why? Because chanting, we should be praying for pure bhakti. Now, if that service is in the Leela, and you're, making flower garlands for Radharani, then that's different. You're in the Leela doing service. But until then...
But at the same time, isn't it like any service is Krishna anyway?
Yeah. Well, okay, I'll rephrase your question. I'll ask you a question. If I'm reading the Bhagavatam and I'm thinking about my service, is that okay? Because I'm not able to concentrate on what I'm reading, right? Yeah, so it's the same thing. Even Prabhupada said, don't chant Japa where there's kirtan. Just like either go in the kirtan or chant Japa, but don't be both, because you can't focus on both. So it's the same idea. Focus on your japa and then think of your seva later. Unless you're a liberated soul. And that seva is within your eternal swarup. That's different. You don't like that answer?
I just think sometimes I like to...
What we talked about yesterday was that in order to be absorbed, you have to turn off your phone, and the phone was the analogy of your whole life in your phone. So you have to turn your life off. So that seva is also part of your life, which you will do later. So mindfulness is a Buddhist term, but it applies very well to being able to chant. Mindfulness is just to stop everything, future and past, and just be focused with all your senses on what you're doing right now. That's mindfulness. Like every sense is absorbed in chanting. You're touching the beads, you're hearing, you're speaking, you're feeling the vibration. Because it vibrates inside, you can feel it. you're feeling Krishna's presence, that's japa. But now you go off and think about seva, that's the future, so you're no longer present. Your mind is in the future. Now, what is considered bona fide future meditation is when will I be fully absorbed in chanting Hare Krishna and tasting nectar. That, yeah, Hare Krishna, give me a taste. When will I be fully absorbed? You understand? So, to be fully present with all your senses to the holy name, that's perfect. So, turn off the light switch of seva as well as the other light switches. The seva room, turn it on. Try it tomorrow and just surrender to the holy name. See what happens. Got nothing to lose. Yes?
It's on the same point. Sometimes we get like, before festivals, let's say, or like some special occasions, we get so excited to do some seva, like we are waiting for the moment to come so that I can do that seva, start doing it. So this means that, if I'm chanting that morning and I'm eagerly waiting for that seva, I cannot stop thinking about it. I'm chanting and thinking, so I'm making nam cry because of the eagerness to serve.
It is also an offense to be inattentive while chanting the holy name. Now I'll let you decide what you believe inattention is. Yes?
I was saying that, for example, if you speak to a person, if you go to your guru, and you speak to him, and you start thinking about yourself, you will be distracted.
Exactly.
Maybe you go away, you either speak with me or
I think it corresponds to the point we said yesterday. If you just treat the holy name as a person, then you'll understand the answer. It's nice to think about serving the person, but right now the person you're talking to them. And you can't listen to them because you're thinking about how you're going to serve them. Right? Does that make sense? Wait a second. Hang on. Krishna's going to reveal something in a minute. I think if you study Shastra in relation to chanting the holy name, the 10 offenses, and so on, you'll never get any inclination that meditating on your seva, unless it's in your swarup, is recommended. So if you like meditating on seva, just wait till you realize who you are in Krishna Lila, and then when you chant, you'll just enter that seva. That's.
Sometimes it happens naturally.
Yeah, of course.
I don't know, for girls,
Yeah. I could offer something. I don't know if everyone will accept it, but I think it's safe to say that when you evolve in your chanting to a level where you're very absorbed and you're tasting, that won't happen anymore. Because you're so absorbed in the connection with the name, to absorb in your service would be a distraction from what you're getting there. Just as it would be in any relationship. Just like I'm looking at you now. So if I'm thinking about some service I'm going to do for you, I'm actually not present with you anymore, even though I'm looking at you. And I can't appreciate you right now because I'm thinking of the service for you. I can't appreciate you, at least personally, as I would if I was just present to what we were talking about. So that's, I think, the best answer. Those who are involved in their chanting, they wouldn't ask that question. Because they know the answers. They're absorbed in tasting the holy name. That's the foundation, that absorption. Now, if from that service enters, but it doesn't distract you, that would be different. But it didn't sound like that's what you meant. It sounded like you were distracted. Your chanting was exciting, but distracted. Something like that? Yes?
I remember there's a nice book called The Way of the Pilgrim, the book of the Christian monk who,
What's the name of it?
The Way of the Pilgrim.
The Way of the Pilgrim.
It's about a Christian monk who heard that one had to chant constantly or pray constantly. And the whole book is like a workshop on how to do it. And one of his meditation thought, he speaks about the devil, how, in our Maya, devil comes, he said, he will find the finest way to distract you. He will find a godly way, because if you are determined not to be distracted, he will find something which you find nice and connected to the God, just to take your mind away from the prayer, and slowly, slowly take you further away. So
I like that. Very good. Does that answer your question? Krishna takes, the spiritual energy takes you away from him. Yeah. That's why it's confusing, because it's service. Service is spiritual. But there's specific ways to serve in specific situations. Yes.
I was just thinking of the example you gave, and I have a similar experience with my mother most of the time. I'm an only child, so she's very attached and she wants to serve me, give me something to eat, and, be extra caring. So if I'm trying to tell her something, she's never there. She's right in front of me, but she's like trying to figure out what she can do for me. And then if I just stop for a second, she's going to do that. It's very frustrating. I mean, I appreciate her. It's very frustrating. So it's probably the same way, like you say, we're calling out to Krishna.
Well, there's references throughout our Shastra about how Krishna feels. And I think a lot of us think because he's God, he doesn't really feel. So, therefore, when we chant, we don't make this connection. And then we also think, well, even if he does feel, why would he feel anything from me? Like, what would it matter if I chant good rounds or bad rounds? Because I'm just me. And me is by nobody. Right? And both of those things are false. There's so many references to the fact that Krishna does feel, and feels deeply distressed in separation from his devotees, feels distressed when his devotees are not properly advancing, and that he wants a relationship with everyone. You want to hear a story? Who wants to hear a story? Who doesn't want to hear a story? Maybe some of you have heard the story. One devotee said to Prabhupada, I don't feel that Krishna loves me. Why would he love me? And so I don't feel like if I serve him or I don't serve him, it really matters because he has so many pure devotees. Do you ever feel like that? Like I'm just one insignificant Prabhu or Mataji amongst unlimited numbers of liberated souls. And I'm not even liberated, so why would Krishna care about me? So Prabhupada said that, let's say your finger was diseased, and you went to the doctor. The doctor said, okay, so this finger's diseased, so best solution is we cut the finger off. And obviously, you're going to say, I don't think that's a good idea. So, no, it's a good idea because you have 9 other fingers, so one finger lost. It's only 1 out of 9. That's only 10% loss. What's the problem? Now, what would you think? Think the doctor's the problem. Right? So, Prabhupada said in the same way, Krishna doesn't think, I don't, if you're not a devotee, I don't care, because I have so many devotees. Just like, No, he doesn't think, he thinks every devotee is important. Every finger is important. You don't want to lose that finger. Every devotee is important. Now, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur elaborates on this idea, and he said, Krishna has a different relationship with every one of us. So what Krishna experiences in rasa with you is different than what he experiences from you, from you, from you, from you. There's a different taste. And Krishna can only get that taste from you. Did you know that? Isn't that interesting? So because he can only get that taste from you, he wants it. And then Krishna reciprocates with a special taste for you that he doesn't give to anybody else. Isn't that amazing? So therefore, it is said, Krishna has everything except one thing. And the one thing he wants is your heart. Isn't that interesting? So knowing that can also empower your japa because you want to become qualified. And one of the acharyas said, one of the meanings of the holy name is, please make me qualified to serve you. So I want to be qualified to reciprocate with you. So make me qualified that I can enter into this relationship that you want with me. Because I can only enter it if I love you. So please help me love you so I can reciprocate with what you want. Because you want that love and I'm not giving it to you. I'm holding it back from you. Interesting, right? Krishna wants your love, and by not giving it to him, you're holding back something that he wants. Amazing, huh? Did you ever think like that? No, we think, what does Krishna care for me? I'm just a useless American, Russian, Lithuanian, Ukrainian, Britisher, what else do we have here? South American, North American, Chinese, I'm just one useless person. No. Krishna's waiting. He wants the love. So, okay, if Krishna, you want the love, then shouldn't I chant good rounds and, churn that love because that's what you want? So I had a vision. I mean, it's fiction, but there's some validity to it. Krishna is waiting for us. And then we know from Brihad Bhagavatamrita when Gop Kumar comes and Krishna said, like, where you been? Something like, I've been waiting for you, missing you. So, even though we are conditioned souls, Krishna's missing us. And every day of bad rounds is just one day we didn't get any closer. And every day of good rounds we got a little closer. So Krishna's happy when you chant good rounds because your love's developing a little more. And you're becoming a little more qualified to enter into rasa. Does that make sense? That Krishna would be happy that you're making advancement because it means you're coming closer to shedding material desires and shedding the anarthas that are getting in the way of the relationship. And he wants the love, and you're getting a little closer to the love, so he's becoming happy. And then another day of bad japa, and Krishna's, Krishna's telling his friends, Radhika chanted some really bad rounds today. I'm so depressed, Another day. I've been waiting for her for 10 zillion lifetimes. Another bad day of japa. She's moving really slow. Now we don't think that way because we don't think Krishna feels anything for us, right? He doesn't care. The Prabhupada said he does care. Vishwanath Chakravarti said he does. He wants to taste this relationship. So it's nice if you can meditate on that sometimes when you're chanting, thinking that this is pleasing Krishna if I'm becoming purified, because then I'm becoming qualified to be what he wants me to be. So I can enter into a relationship. And that's what he wants. And that's why we're all here, right? Isn't that why we're here? To learn how to love Krishna? Does that make sense? Yes? Makes sense? Some of you are still thinking, nah, he loves you, but not me. Why would he love me? Yeah, because he doesn't look at you like you look at yourself. He doesn't look at all your faults and like that. He doesn't care. Yes?
Lately, usually all the time, the more I make an effort to chant without distraction, the more distraction comes my way.
Yeah.
The more I try to focus at the place, I feel like Krishna is sending somebody there to distract me. I will go to such good place and something tiny just didn't come. I make every endeavor, and in my mind, maybe it's tricky me. I'm thinking, this is Krishna. Why is Krishna doing this? I'm making an effort to try to chant with attention, without offense. Why is he bringing me so much distraction? Is it? It's fine.
What's your answer to that question? You have one?
Well, just listening to you now, I think perhaps it's maybe not so sincere.
There's different ways of looking at it. I mean, that could be one way. The Christian just wants to see what, how determined you are. You said, you think you're determined? Okay, so I'm going to distract you. Let's see how determined you are. And then he wants to see what you're going to do. But sometimes if we make an effort in the wrong way, then we make it hard on ourselves. So my sense is that might be part of the problem. That the effort it's not in line with, sometimes we make an effort, but it's not really in line with the mood of chanting. It's more mechanical effort, and that's hard. If you go more into the mood of prayer and connection and relationship, I don't think you'll have that problem. It's a different kind of endeavor. It's an endeavor more of the heart than like an external effort. And sometimes the external efforts make it actually more difficult. We're like, you might be trying to chant in a way that's actually impossible. Like you may have an expectation for japa that's impossible to achieve. So it's just making it harder. It's not the way japa should be. Japa should be natural. It shouldn't be a struggle. It should flow. Because you're connecting with Krishna. You're getting closer. That shouldn't be a struggle. So you might be trying to achieve a state that's not really what japa is all about. And therefore it's difficult to achieve or impossible. More of an external, like an external criteria of what japa is. Perfectly hearing, perfectly pronouncing. No other thought, mind blank. As opposed to praying, present to the experience. All the things we're talking about. Bringing that mood in. Because that mood is very natural. If you get in that mood, you'll find it's very natural. And so it flows quite easily. What?
In such a state of mind, in a state of mood,
well, one of the things a lot of devotees have found is if their effort to chant japa reaches a certain level, Krishna always provides them good situations to chant in. And if their effort is not so determined, I can't say this is your situation, but sometimes it's almost like we subtly want excuses for bad japa and Krishna sends them to us. Like we're not that serious, so he sends us distractions or things like that. So that's something to think about. I can't say that's happening to you, but I've had that experience. Like as soon as my intensity slackens, then someone just starts talking to me. I go outside, space out, and someone comes and talks to me during japa. Why did that happen? Well, it often happens because I'm just not chanting properly and I don't care. So Krishna sends someone to, you don't care? Okay. Here, I'll send someone to talk to you. And my experience is the opposite. It was when I'm into my chanting, that doesn't happen. Like I always find good time. So it's something to think about. That's more subtle. That's for you. I can't say that's true for you, but it's a possibility. It does happen. Many devotees have said that happens to them. Like when they're not serious, they're just like somehow or other things happen and they can't find the time to chant peacefully. And when they get more serious, they always find the time. Time just shows up. Undistracted time. Any of you have that experience? Raise your hand if you have that experience. When your intentions go down, it's like there's opportunities to be distracted. They seem to show up unsolicited. Because there's a lot of devotees, they're at a platform and they can't figure out how to find time to chant more than 4 rounds. And if we're chanting 16 every day, we think, how is that possible? But that's kind of what happens. They're just like they're losing that intention to chant well, and then things just come. Life, I call it, here's another t-shirt, life happens. You know, like life gets in the way. Ever seen that t-shirt, Chit happens? Chit happens. You're full of chit. But chit happens, and other things that sound like chit happens, which means life happens, and life can get in the way. But for those devotees who are very intentional about good japa, whatever happens in life never intervenes with their japa. They've always got that protected, and Krishna helps them. And I've seen that. It's very natural. So something to think about. And if that's not the answer, then the other answer is something to think about, or both. Coming more from a mood of prayer than mechanical. Something more natural. Yes.
So daily we chant like 16 rounds normally, or some more. But what about these days we chant, let's say Kadashi or something? Is there some extra things we should know when we're chanting a bigger amount of rounds? 32 rounds, 64 rounds? Because it's different japa. That's what it is.
Something we should know, or a better way to approach it? Yeah. We should know that there's no great credit to chant 32 bad rounds. One devotee told Prabhupada, I'm chanting 25 rounds. Prabhupada said, first get the 16 quality before you expand. So that's the first thing you want to know. It's not a great credit to chant 32 bad rounds. I mean, it's okay. It's a nice effort. But first get the quality down before you increase. And then, if you're chanting more rounds, you should just feel grateful for the opportunity that you have to spend all that time with Krishna. And Krishna's giving you that time to chant. When we do japa retreats and we chant 64 rounds, I tell all the devotees, tomorrow you'll be with Krishna for 8 hours or 9 hours. So just relish it. It's not every day you get to do that. So you switch your perception to something very positive. And I tell devotees to meditate on this prayer. My dear Lord Krishna, I pray that each successive round will be better than the last. I look forward to that. And visualize that and expect that. And you know what happens when you do that? It actually happens. And so when you're on your 32nd round, you're thinking, that was so amazing and so easy. Let's do it again. If you go in thinking, okay, this is going to be austere, it's going to be difficult, it's going to be hard, that's exactly what will happen. And you'll come up, I did 32 rounds, how was it? Tough. But I'm tough, and I did it. It's not exactly what you want. You know, it's not a contest of how tough you are. And the other problem when you chant, here's the other problem when you chant 32 rounds. Right? The kata, so you chant 32 rounds, I chant 16, she chants 16, he chants 20, that's 25, but you do 32. So what does that make you? Makes you the man. This Ekadasi, I'm the man. Right? Pride. I did 32. So you have to be careful. The mood is, I am so fallen, I need to do 32 rounds just to equal your 16. Not like, I'm the man, I did 32, you only did 16, you know, polish my toes. You know, and as conditioned souls, that's how we think. But the humble way to think is, I need to chant 32 just to equal your 16 because I'm fallen. You agree? Otherwise, you'll be in trouble. And what to speak if you fast? Now you're fasting, and you're thinking, I'm the double man. Not only 32 rounds, but I fasted. It makes me doubly better than everybody. So you're fasting, and you're feeding your false ego. You didn't eat any food, but you fed your false ego a feast. Right? So what's the point? Right? Is there any point? Is that alright? Should we stop? Yes.
We learned that it was said that to chant, to remove this inattention, we cannot do it by our strength. We should get myself or name.
Vaishnavas.
So we have to pray for mercy, but how we can get this mercy? Only by praying or also doing?
Well, this is a good question. In Harinam Chintamani, Bhaktivinoda Thakur says that to overcome the offensive inattention is actually impossible without the mercy of Krishna and the Vaishnavas. So, how do we get the mercy to do that? In Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati said, mercy, it comes as a byproduct of effort. He made a very heavy statement. He said, unless we make our best effort sincerely, we won't attract mercy. So mercy is something you attract through your prayer and through your effort. You know, we think mercy is something you get when you're fallen. Like, so if that's true, then I'll sleep in tomorrow because that will prove I'm fallen, and then I'll get mercy so I can get up the next day. Is that a good idea? I'm going to overeat tomorrow to prove how fallen I am, so I'll get Mahaprabhu's mercy. Is that how it works? In fact, I'm not even going to chant my rounds tomorrow because I'll get even more mercy. Is that how it works? So Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur said, no, you make an effort. Krishna sees that effort and then he responds with mercy. And some devotees, when they're chanting, they'll pray to the holy name. Say, please give me mercy. Please give me taste. Please reveal yourself. Please help me in some way. Or help me chant. But you see, that mood that I need mercy, that's the definition of humility. So really what Bhaktivinoda Thakur is saying, you have to chant humbly, knowing that you can't achieve any perfection in chanting unless you get mercy, and that's Trinadapi Sunicena. So I'm chanting Hare Krishna, please give me mercy, I'm fallen. And if we're chanting and thinking, oh, my rounds are so good, probably better than everyone else's rounds. So then, you know, what's that? That's pride. So that's not the way to chant. So if you're chanting feeling that you need mercy, that's good, and praying for it. And continually making the effort, knowing that's how Krishna reciprocates. Then you're in the right consciousness. That's Trinadapi. What does it mean to chant in humble state of mind? I can't do this on my own. I depend on you. Without your mercy, I can't hear one round, one bead, one mantra. Yes. Should we break? Raise your hand. We should break. Well, we'll break after the questions are over, or until people start falling asleep. Does anyone have any? Yes.
This session, we said that we need mercy for the name and also Vaishnavas. So does it mean? So our relationship with Vaishnavas is also very important.
Yes. That we'll discuss tomorrow or Friday. The first defense. Aparad Upasana. Get the mercy of the Vaishnava, or get the curse of the Vaishnava. You know, if you study the topic of aparad, then naturally, in those discussions of the acharyas, they'll discuss mercy, because it's the opposite of aparad. And the conclusion is, the mercy of the Vaishnavas is essential. Therefore, there's so much emphasis on serving, because by serving you get mercy, and so much emphasis on pleasing the spiritual master and pleasing the devotees. And aparad is the exact opposite of that. So yes, mercy of Vaishnavas is very powerful. That's what all our gurus and shastras say. The mercy of Vaishnavas is everything. You can get everything fulfilled by their mercy. So. And Prabhupada's very merciful and he'll help us. You know, let's end on this thought. We look at ourselves and we think, I'm not very qualified, so how could I be very advanced? And so maybe in a sense, that's true. Logically it makes sense. But mercy is much more powerful than our disqualification. So no matter who we are, if we get mercy, we can be very advanced. And we may tend to limit our understanding of how advanced we could become, which then becomes a limitation actually of what mercy can do for us. Because it's not you advancing, but it's you advancing by mercy, and you're just making the effort, and then the mercy causing you to advance. So if you understand that, mercy can elevate you all the way up to the stage of prema. Then it has nothing to do with your qualification or disqualification. It has to do with your sincerity and your effort. And then the mercy does it, not you. So if we understand that, we can have confidence that we can all be pure devotees, despite our disqualification, because it's not us that's going to make ourselves pure devotees. Like Prabhupada once said, it's not that your chanting is purifying you, it's the holy name that's purifying you. It's not that you are causing yourself to become free from sin, it's the holy name that's causing you to be free from sin. But you're taking the holy name, you're doing that part of it, then the holy name does its part. Because you've brought in the pure holy name, then the holy name does it. So it's never us, it's always the holy name. So if we understand that, then we can have confidence. Yes, I could become highly realized devotee, even though I don't feel I'm qualified. That's the nature of mercy. So it's very important to understand that. Otherwise, sometimes devotees don't make an effort because they feel they're not qualified. That is not a right philosophical understanding. You don't have to be qualified. You just make the effort, and you'll be qualified by mercy. Does that make sense? Thakur Haridas was being allured by Maya, and he had the holy name, and that was all he needed. So that's a demonstration of the power of the holy name. Yes? So we take a break, and then we have kirtan. Is that the idea? Okay. So, yeah, why don't you take a little break, and then 5-10 minutes, we'll start kirtan. Okay? Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Om Premanandi.